Hi everyone, I want to welcome you today to our live stream. I'm your brother Richard Kabiru, and I want to make sure that today we tackle one of the most, not the most, but really among the most important things that concern issues of transition. Remember, we've been on a journey where we've been looking at how we end up in the zone of transition, how to survive in there, and most importantly, how to exit or to get out of that particular zone. And today I want us to look on issues of naming your wages, and that comes out of the scriptures right from the book of Genesis, chapter 30. I want us to look out from verse 25. This is a story of Jacob and Laban, and verse 25 says, "And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, Send me away that I may go to my own place and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my service which I have done for you." And Laban said to him, "Please stay, for if I have found favor in your eyes, I have learned by experience that the Lord has blessed me for your sake." Then he said, "Name your wages, and I will give it." That's Laban talking. Name your wages. And that is where we're getting the title for our message today. Name your wages, and I will give it to you. Bible continues to say that, "So Jacob said to him, You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. For what you had before I came was little, and it had increased to a great amount. And the Lord has blessed you since my coming. And now when shall I also provide for my own house?" Verse 31 says, "So he said, What shall I give you?" Now, this is a portion of scripture where we're looking at Jacob, and he reaches a place where he wishes to depart to go back to his father's house. And he's been living with his uncle Laban, and we find that while he was with his uncle, he increased and he had wives and children, and it reached a place where he felt, my time has come for me to leave. My time has come for me to depart from here. Remember, first of all, the reason why he ended up with his uncle in Padan Aram was because he was running away from his brother after he took his birthright, and he took his blessing and his birthright as well. And therefore, we find Jacob wishing to depart. And in his heart, there are certain things that are shimmering in his heart, and he wishes to move away from his uncle and go find his own identity, go find his purpose. And he goes and informs his uncle Laban. Now, remember Laban, the character of Laban was that this was a guy who the Bible records as having changed his wages for about 10 times, that it reached a place where God himself intervened in that whole process and gave Jacob a structure, or a way or strategy for increase. And he continued increasing even as much as you found that Laban himself, his wealth and his livestock were not increasing as it was with Jacob. And therefore, it reached a place where you can see this was the guy that was really an oppressive person. I mean, changing someone's wages for so many times. This was not a very good employer, so to say. And therefore, the minute Jacob said that I want to leave, then this guy takes up a new character. And the Bible says that he told him to name his wages. Now, the amazing part was that in verse 25, Laban tells him that, "Please stay, for I have learned by experience that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Please stay. And the reason why I want you to stay is because I have learned that I have been blessed myself because of you." And therefore, he tells him to name his wages, that he will give him whatever he says. And therefore, you find that the reason why Laban wanted Jacob to remain was not necessarily because of Jacob. He wanted him to remain so that he can continue using him to get rich. to continue using Jacob or to continue using the favor that God has given him to enrich himself. And therefore, the whole point was this was just a ploy to prevent Jacob from stepping into his new phase of life. Remember, we are saying that Jacob wanted to depart. He wanted to step into the new season of his life. And the minute he said that, then an offer came on the table. And this is what usually happens even with some of us, where the minute you feel you need to step out and do things and step out of an environment that you have been for a long time, immediately you make that announcement, then an offer comes on the table. And that is a way, if you don't discern that well, then you will realize that that is the enemy trying to stop your movement, not by intimidation, but by offering some benefits. And people have fallen prey to that kind of thing, where they fall for the benefits, and the minute they take the benefits, then that becomes the end of their movement towards their destiny. It comes to the end towards their movement. Towards their movement towards their purpose. And therefore, it is not surprising that the minute you say that you want to shift, or you want to go and start your own thing, you want to go and do your own stuff, then all of a sudden an offer is placed on the table, a position is given to you, a higher allowance is given to you, or some form of privilege. And we are not saying that these things are bad. No, we are just saying that the timing, and we are going to look at some of the things that tell us whether we are falling for it. We're going to look at that shortly. But it's not surprising when the minute you say that you want to leave or you want to go and start your own thing, then an offer is placed on the table, a new position is given to you, a higher allowance is offered to you, or even some form of privilege. And that is usually what religion does. What we usually say is that religion offers you or sells to you privilege to keep you hemmed in. That's one of the things that a religion does. It gives you some form of privilege. You feel privileged to be having a certain responsibility. You feel privileged because of being close to the grace. You feel privileged because of being offered a certain position, and that position becomes the greatest hindrance to your movement forward. And I'm not saying those things are bad, but you got to be careful, because that can become your greatest hindrance, and therefore it can stifle your movement forward. So Laban said that I have learned by experience that the Lord has blessed me for your sake. In other words, I want you to stay because it benefits me. And don't you encounter those kind of issues where you find that somebody wants you to stay because it benefits him, meaning your movement away is a loss to him, and therefore it is not in their interest for you to go because you staying benefits them. And that can be one of the most selfish positions somebody can take. Somebody is trying to hinder your movement, is trying to curtail your purpose because there is something they want out of you. There is something that they want to benefit out of you. That is one of the most selfish position somebody can take. And sadly, it happens even within the church, where you find that people want certain people to stay within their environment so that they can use them either to grow themselves or to find that they are expanding their territory. It is not necessarily because they're really concerned about the person. What they are concerned with is what they are carrying, the gifts that they have that can help them to expand their territory. And therefore, it is not a good thing that somebody wants to sabotage someone's purpose for their own benefit. So when sometimes when people are not really open to your departure, it is because that your departure spells doom to certain benefits that they have been enjoying from you. And therefore it is very, very critical for you to know, is this a God orchestrated privilege, or is it just a man-made one that is meant to hem me, it's meant to stop me from moving forward? And therefore, how do you differentiate them between a divine privilege, a door that has been opened by God, and a manipulative trap? How can you tell the difference between the two of them? And I want us to look at 4 things that are going to help us to be able to discern or judge some of these privileges that are usually offered to us. One of them that I want to talk about is the issue of timing. The timing. In other words, when an offer appears only after you make an announcement that you want to depart, or you make your intentions known that you want to depart and move forward, then at that point, that is not a good offer. And the reason is because it's a reaction to your decision. So be careful that the minute you say that I want to depart, and then you see an offer being placed on the table, then at that point, that is not a good offer, because it is an offer that is meant to stop you from moving forward. And many times there are people who usually fall for it, and sometimes you can be able to understand that because they've been living in a place of lack, or they've been living in a place of where they've not been having certain things, and therefore once those things are placed on the table, when they are offered those particular goodies, the next thing is that they fall for it and they embrace them, and that becomes the beginning of the demise of their destiny as far as movement forward is concerned. And that's something that you need to really differentiate. That when an offer is placed on the table after you announce that you're leaving, then that is something that is manipulative. A God-ordained opportunity often appears as a catalyst to your next step. In other words, it comes as a catalyst, or rather to accelerate the process of your next movement. So it prompts the decision to move. It does not come after you made the decision. Okay? It does not try to stop a decision that you've already made. Okay? So if, for example, God brings an opportunity, it is to help you to move forward, not to make you be hemmed in, or to just not move forward. So it's important for you to understand that the issue of timing. When is the offer being presented to you? Is it after you announce, or has the offer been given even before you announce? And sometimes you find that you can stay in a particular environment or in a particular place for a very long time, and nothing gets. Sometimes you don't even get any benefit. You're just there doing your thing. But the minute you say that you're leaving, when the benefit comes. Now, at that point, be careful. Be careful. Otherwise, you may lose your access or your entry into the next season of your life. The second thing that you need to check is who benefits by you staying. Who benefits? When an offer is placed before you, who benefits? Who is going to benefit by you not moving forward? So if the offer benefits the one offering it, then it is not. It is about their benefit, not yours. When an offer is placed before you, and that offer benefits the one that is giving the offer, then that benefit is not about you. It is about the one giving the offer. And you can be able to see the example of Laban. The reason why Laban wanted Jacob to stay was not because of Jacob, was because of the benefit he was getting by Jacob staying. And that's one of the ways that you can be able to check. Otherwise, God-ordained opportunity is orchestrated for your growth. It is orchestrated for your purpose. It is orchestrated for God's glory. And its primary intent is to propel you forward. If you look at, for example, the disciples of Jesus, when Jesus went around and calling the disciples, the Bible says that he went and called them and he said that for them to follow him so that he can make them fishers of men. Meaning the benefit was ending up with the disciples, not with Jesus. Meaning by them walking with Jesus, they became something. They got a benefit out of it. It was not Jesus himself who was actually benefiting. In fact, Jesus was pouring himself onto them, and it is the benefit that that is them that were getting the benefit. The other thing you find, when the children of Israel were taken by Moses through the wilderness, Moses was not taking them to a place to himself. He was not leading them to himself. He was leading them each to his own piece of land that was promised by God. In other words, Moses was taking them to a place where each of the tribes are going to benefit based on what God had promised their father Abraham. And therefore, the benefit was not to the person that was leading. The benefit was going to the people that were being led. It was the people that got the pieces of land. And it is important for you to notice that. And therefore, those are two examples you can be able to check. The number three, the way you can be able to check is the nature of that privilege. In other words, if you're given the privilege, the nature of that privilege, is it something that is only just material? Is it just something that is just positional? Or is this just based on your comfort alone? Remember, Laban told Jacob, he told him, name your wages, meaning it's a wage. and it can be named. It is something that is just external. It's a wage that can be given. And therefore, when somebody just gives you a benefit, is it just a wage that you're being given? It is something that just caters for your immediate need. And that's the same thing that the devil offered Jesus during when he was taken in the wilderness and he was tempted by the devil. That I'm going to give you all the kingdoms of the world. I'm going to give you all these external things. And if you only bow down to me. In other words, the benefit was to the devil at that point. It was not really Jesus. No, it was going to the devil. And I'm not saying that we are not going to get benefits. Please hear me correctly. I'm not saying that you're not going to get benefits. God always blesses us with material things. But remember, most cases when God does that, it is to help you, to propel you forward into where God is taking you. It's not necessarily to give you something just for the sake of it. And I know, we usually say, he's our Father. He can just usually gives us good gifts. But you don't forget that God has an intent. And there is somewhere that he is going. And he wants also to use you as he moves forward. And the thing is, if at all you are praying and God is giving you, for God to give you stuff, it's not that you're saying that he's not going to give you, but remember, it's about the fulfillment of what he has said. And if you remember the rich young ruler, when he met Jesus, and Jesus told him that to go sell everything, give to the poor, and come and follow him, Jesus was not trying to make him poor. No, he was trying to actually increase him. Meaning, the whole point of telling him to go and sell what he has was to detach his heart from the items or the things or the wealth that he had, which eventually could still have come back, because giving is a principle and there is always a harvest that comes after that. And therefore, Jesus was telling him, this is the way for you to get through access into the kingdom. And therefore, he was not trying to get things away from him. No. And therefore, the nature of that privilege, you need to check. Is it just for the sake of just a wage? And then what? What next? Or are you going to lose purpose? Are you going to lose your next season just because you've been given a wage? Or just because you've given a benefit? Okay? The fourth thing I want to talk about is the issues of your inner testimony, where in your spirit, when you are given an offer, what goes on within you? What happens within your heart? So despite the offer being good, does it create an ease within you? Does it create uncomfortableness within you? Now, if it creates that, despite the fact that it is a good thing that you're being offered, then you need to be careful. If it feels like you're being bought or you're being pacified for you not to go, then at that point you realize that is not a good benefit that is coming to you. 1 Samuel chapter 23, you find the story of David. He went and saved a city called Keilah, and which was not even an Israelite city. And when he saved the city, remember, this was the time that David used to be hunted by Saul in the wilderness. And he went and hid in this particular city, but this city was being attacked by the Philistines, and David fought the Philistines and defeated them. And the Bible says that he saved this city called Keilah. And while he was there, of course, there is always the feeling of, you've saved us, and therefore we want to give you somewhere you can stay, somewhere you can feel safe. And while he was in that city, he inquired from God, and he asked him, are these people of Keilah going to betray me to Saul? Or are they going to give me away to Saul? And God told him, yes, they are going to do that. They are going to betray you. They are going to give you over to Saul. And the Bible says that David and his men left that particular city. In other words, you can feel that in as much as that particular city was a place of safety or a place of comfort, within his heart, David could feel there is something that is not correct about this whole thing. There is something that is not right about the benefit that I'm getting in this city. At the end of the day, these people are pretending, if my enemy comes, they're going to they're going to give me over to him, they're going to betray me. And sometimes some of these offers that we usually get, you get betrayed very, very, very easily. It is almost like there was no connection in there. It's almost like, the minute you just do something that may not necessarily be something good, then you are gotten rid of as though you never existed. And some of those things can cause a lot of problems in your heart. And therefore, in your spirit, is the offer that you're being given something that do you feel in your heart unease or uncomfortableness? Listen to your spirit. So But if it comes with peace in your heart, then you know that's a good thing. It feels like it is liberation. It is a good thing. So why do people resist your growth? Why do people resist? Because sometimes when you want to move forward, you find people around you resisting, or you find the people that you look up to resisting. Why do people resist your growth? Number one, when their self-interest is threatened, they will resist it. If their self-interest is threatened, they will resist. In other words, your growth disrupts a system from which they benefit. Your growth is disrupting the system from which they benefit. So their self-interest can make them to resist your movement. So your presence benefits them, but your growth costs them something. If they feel that you're going to lose something by you moving into or entering into your purpose, then there's going to be resistance that you will experience. And it's important for you to understand that the reason why people are resisting is because there is some form of self-interest that is engaged, or it is part of that whole process. There is self-interest. Please be careful because of that. People resist because of self-interest. Number two, why they resist your growth is because your growth highlights their stagnation. It's almost like you're judging them. So your growth makes them feel judged instead of being inspired. This is where you feel that you are in this particular group of people, and this happens not just within the context of a system, but it can also happen even among friends or a group of friends, where people have something we call a crab mentality. What's a crab mentality? It is a story that is usually given that if you put a number of crabs within a bucket, anytime one of the crabs wants to get out of the bucket, the other crabs get hold of it and they pull it back inside the bucket. It's usually called a crab mentality. And sometimes because you want to grow, you want to move forward, you want to go and explore, you want to step into what God has already planned for you. Anytime you find that happening, you find there are people who are trying to pull you down, and in most cases, they are either people who are around you or people who are having some interest in you. And you find that there is that culture. It's called the culture of the bucket, or I usually call it the culture of the silo. It's this culture of the silo where you don't go, just remain here with us. And the problem is with the silo is the silo that has no windows. And one of the other things about silos is the grain that is usually stored in a silo, it's meant for being eaten. So if you're in a silo, then you realize, are you being kept there to be eaten? It's very critical for you to understand that. If you find that people are resisting your movement, is because it is highlighting their stagnation. Number three, there is the fear of change in that relationship dynamic that is around you. And that in that case, you find, especially within a group of friends, where you find that they fear you either getting ahead and you leave them behind. All right. They feel that there is some kind of a jostling where people don't want you to move forward, because that kind of it will make you their peer, or it will make you become their superior, and therefore you find that there is always that. I don't know whether you've been in places where you find that people really, even as much as you have grown or you've become something, they will never acknowledge your growth. And especially, for example, if for example, somebody is the one who prayed for you to get saved, they will never acknowledge the fact that you have grown. There's always that feeling of, this guy, I'm the one who prayed for him to get saved. And you find that there is always that crab mentality in people, where they always want to pull you down. Or you're in a group of people or in an environment where you are really focused on moving forward, and people are always like trying to tell you, you are moving too fast, or you should not be doing this. And every time that you want to step out and do your own things, there's always these words coming to you. There's always this attitude coming to you. And that is because they are fearing that the relationship dynamic is going to change. Now they were your superior, or you were their juniors. Now you have grown, and all of a sudden it's like, now we are peers, or maybe you are my superior. And all of a sudden you find that there's a resistance that comes in that, and that's the fear of maybe you're leaving them behind or something like that. The fourth thing I want to talk about is it can be because of a genuine but misguided concern for your well-being. A genuine but misguided concern for your well-being. And this comes especially from people who are around us, or even our loved ones can be like that. And if you remember the story of Peter, when Jesus told the disciples about how he's going to suffer, how he's going to be beaten, he's going to be presented to the chief priests, he's going to go to and be crucified on the cross, die, and then rise again on the third day. What did Peter do? He called him aside and said, "This is not going to happen to you." And the next thing, what happened is that Jesus looked at him and said that, "Get behind me, Satan." And it's not necessarily like he was telling him that he is Satan. He's just saying that he is expressing the dynamics of an opposer. You are opposing my movement forward, because that's what the word Satan actually means. And therefore, the concern from Peter was actually something genuine. But it was a concern that was born out of limited understanding of the purposes of God. And therefore, we find that some of the people that usually give us, or they express certain concerns to us, they are genuine, but they are misguided. And that's when it comes especially from risk-averse loved ones. People who are risk-averse, but they are people who love us, people who are close to us. And therefore, their desire is really to keep us safe. But sometimes they are keeping us safe can keep us small. It's very important for you not to just hear or listen to some of the things that they are being said. It's important to know how to respond in wisdom. We are going to look at how you need to respond to that. I don't know whether you have ever had people who tell you that you need to be realistic. You need to be realistic. And that is usually comes out of a place of you are moving too fast, or you are exercising faith in certain things that may not necessarily have logic in them, and in that way they are trying to bring you back into the environment or to a place of reality, and therefore they tell you what you're doing is not realistic. So the question is, how do you respond? How do you respond to those kind of things? The first thing you need to do is discern the source of the concern. Discern the source of the self-interest, or is it coming out of self-interest? It is an insecurity. Is it fear? Then when you discern the source of it, because that's what Jesus did with Peter. He discerned the source of what Peter is saying is actually the opposer. Okay, discern the source. Is it insecurity? Is it fear? Is it self-interest? All those things can be the source of them preventing you or trying to discourage you from moving forward. The second thing is you need to stop seeking permission. Yep, you need to stop seeking permission. Where you want to move forward, and all of a sudden there is this thing that always, kind of speaking within you that, you can't do this because you've not been given permission. Your destiny is your destiny. You do not need the permission from anyone for you to step forward. Okay? You don't need to seek permission from anyone. I'm not saying you don't tell people. No, but the issue is you can't fail to move forward because you're waiting to be given permission from anyone. If you can remember what we looked at last week, we said that God has never put the destiny of another human being in the hands of another one. Never. It will never happen. So not everyone will celebrate your decision. So the minute you start thinking of, how to be given permission, probably the person you're asking, they have an interest in you not moving forward. So the minute you go asking for permission, there is no way you're going to get that permission. And have you even noticed, have you ever realized, in most cases, most people that usually move forward, they move forward in the environment of conflict. In other words, there is always like, I'm not going to take that. Let me just move out. Let me just move forward. Why does that always happen? It's because of something called self-interest. And therefore, the minute you think of, have to be given permission, then you find that you're stalling or you're not moving forward. So their resistance is, I need to read this correctly, and I need you to hear me. Here it is. Their resistance is their problem. Their resistance is their problem to manage, not your problem to solve. Their resistance is their resistance is their problem to manage, not your problem to solve. All right? So don't say they're trying to manage this whole thing. I need to manage it. I need to make sure that I'm not offending anyone. I have to make sure that, I am released correctly. Sometimes what you're calling release can be actually the thing that is actually keeping you from moving forward. And that's why I say the minute, especially within a toxic environment, just write an email, write a text, move on. because sometimes the self-interest can cause you to just stay in one particular place and you don't move forward. Number three is that you need to communicate clearly, but don't defend endlessly. Communicate clearly, but don't defend endlessly. Debates are sometimes unproductive. Because I remember what we said, that the people who will not celebrate your decision, they will not celebrate your moving forward. So you can't just stay there and you're always trying to defend yourself, or you're trying to have these debates. No, this is how things went out. This is what God spoke to me. This is how I captured it. These are the nuances of my heart, and this is what had caused me to make this decision. Sometimes you're talking to deaf ears. So it's important for you to really communicate, yes, but don't be locked if somebody is not willing to understand. So don't waste your time defending endlessly, having debates that are not going, they're not making you move forward. Sometimes it causes you to just move forward, and those things will be dealt with as you move forward. The fourth thing and the last one is that you need to bless and release. Understand that some relationships, they're just there for a season. Okay? Some relationships are there just for a season. So what you need to do is bless them, move on. Okay? Sometimes we waste a lot of time trying to mourn relationships that were not really meant to make us move forward. We keep trying to mourn, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I make the next step in a nice way, in wisdom. I need to be wise. And sometimes what you're calling wisdom, is a wasting of time. Okay? So you need to understand not all relationships are meant to be there forever. There is a season. Every single season, God prepares certain relationships to help you to move forward. And those relations can come to an end. Okay? It's very, very critical for you to understand that some of the relationships are there for a season, and therefore it's okay to love people even at a distance. And especially if they are against where you're going or what you're doing. It is good for them. Just love them, but just keep your distance. At some point, you're going to just connect. But for now, you need to just stay off. It's very critical for you to do that. Finally, when people resist your growth, recognize that you're no longer just dealing with the people, you are dealing with their fears, you're dealing with their unmet dreams, and you're dealing with their self-interest. So it is not just the person. You're dealing with hegemonies within their mind. You're dealing with self-interest within their heart. You're dealing with their unmet dreams. Probably you were a part of somebody's strategy for them to fulfill their dream, and then you just left. Then at that point, you're dealing with somebody who is having an unmet expectation, and at that point, there is no way they are going to help you to move forward. And therefore, you need to understand that. Focus on yourself. Start moving forward. So your growth, it holds up as a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look at it. You're mirroring somebody else. So when you grow, you're mirroring somebody else who probably is not growing as well as you're growing, and therefore that thing can cause people to resist you or to resist your movement. And that's like a mirror, and most people are not really interested in looking at it. So keep working, keep moving, despite all those things. And therefore, some of these things, they are usually sorted as you move forward. It's very critical to understand that. And with that, we come to the end of our broadcast today. Remember, we usually have only 30 minutes, and I do hope that I've given you some guidelines, something that can make you to move forward. But there's something I want to say, that today we are going to take a break. We're going to take a break for 2 weeks, meaning for next week and the other week, we're not going to have any live stream, but we'll pick it up on the third week, and then we are able to move forward. But for now, I want you to take some time, just look at what we've been sharing. We've been sharing on issues of transition. Ask yourself certain questions. Are there things that have grown? Are there things that have helped you? Are there things that need to be adjusted in your life? Are you stuck within the season of transition and you don't even know how? In fact, what I have is, there is something I'm doing a 6-week online journey. I'm calling it the Eagle's Call, Raising Above Transition into Destiny. Raising above transition into destiny. We cannot just be talking about transition. We cannot be talking about us being within a season of transition all our lives. There comes a time where you need to step out into something that helps you to move forward into your destiny. And I really want to help you go through that particular season. If you feel that the things that we've been talking for the last 2 months or so are really affecting you and you probably feel you need some help, there is a link that you need to register right here in the comment section. You can go there, register your name, and then we are going to start from that point onwards and help you to, help to work with you. It will be a 6-week journey. Every single week we'll be meeting only once for 1.5 hours on Wednesdays, and we'll just be looking at certain things. In fact, let me just look at some of the things that we'll be looking at, where it's about issue of understanding your personal transition, getting healed from hurt and disappointment, and especially within the context of church, mapping your own personal trends, issues of reimagining your future in God, building new rhythms and relationships, and living the unburdened path. And each particular week there will always be a section that we'll be looking at. And therefore you feel that yourself, you need help in moving forward, in transitioning, let this particular time that we are taking a break, you can be able to reach out. There's a number that is going to be there. My email also is going to be posted there. You can reach out to me, you can call me, you can write to me, WhatsApp me, whichever you are, and then we can be able to work together with you. And with that, I say that all what we have said, you can find it, all the recording, you can find it in our new YouTube channel, the Song of the Bow. You go there and you're going to find every particular thing that we have said, and you can be able to go through them again if you feel that's what you need to do. Finally, I want to say that we do have a book club. If you feel you are a person who likes reading, we usually have a book club where you can be able to join. Again, there is still a link where it's going to be posted in the comment section, where you can be able to join a book club and you can be able to read a book together. It gives you the accountability and the discipline to help you to work, or rather to not to work, but really be able to read about certain things that probably you may not be able to read by yourself. And that's a very interesting place to be. We've been doing it for the last 4 weeks or so, and it's been a very, very interesting journey. You want to join us? Go to that link and just it's just direct. It's a WhatsApp link. It will just take you directly to our WhatsApp group, and we will welcome you, and we'll be able to work together. Having said that, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Have a good day, have a good evening, or have a good morning, whatever time that you're listening to this. See you after 2 weeks. We are taking a break, like I have said. See you after 2 weeks, and then we see how things will continue from there. And from that, the time that we'll be coming back, I'll be introducing a different topic that will be covering over a period of time. But you can trust me that it will be building on what we have been building for the last 2 months or so. So thank you so much for tuning in. See you on after 2 weeks on this particular broadcast. But if it is a book club, you're welcome. We're still meeting. If the 6-week online class, we'll still be meeting. So thank you so much, and bye-bye.